The first warning sign was the dog. Tessa's parents have this little mop of a dog named Chico, the kind that barks at lint and trembles when someone opens a soda. But that afternoon, as I stepped into the house to grab a second bag of ice, Chico didn't bark. He ran past me, straight out the open back door. Which was weird, because Tessa hates when anyone lets him out. She's obsessive about it. Like, once screamed at a pizza guy obsessive. But this time, no screaming. Just silence. A weird, heavy, unnatural silence. I walked into the kitchen. The hum of the fridge. The clink of glasses from the backyard party. I opened the freezer. Nothing. No ice. I muttered a quiet, of course, under my breath and headed toward the garage chest freezer, but paused. The hallway light was flickering. Now, maybe it was the heat, or maybe it was how loud everyone was outside, but something about that blinking hallway light made my stomach twist. Like a cheap horror movie setup, except this wasn't fiction. This was her parents' house. Safe, suburban, normal. Except it wasn't. Because as I passed the hallway bathroom, I saw a pair of shoes. Men's shoes. Brown leather loafers. Placed neatly just outside the guest bedroom. I know those shoes because they don't belong to anyone in her family. They belong to Carter, Tessa's coworker. The one she swore was gay. The one she joked about constantly, called him her work wife, said he knew more about skincare than she did. The one I was insecure about because I once asked why he texted her after midnight on our anniversary. I stared at those shoes for way too long. Then I heard something. Not voices. Not movement. Breathing. 2 sets of breathing. Not loud. Not frantic. But close. Rhythmic. Coming from behind the barely open guest room door. I didn't knock. I didn't call her name. I just pushed the door open with one finger and stood in the doorway. She didn't scream. He didn't even flinch. They both just froze like they were mid-sentence. Or mid-sin. Tessa sat upright in the bed. Sheet clutched around her chest like that somehow made it less awful. Carter turned slowly, like he was bored, like I had just interrupted a nap. I didn't say a word. I looked down. My cooler was still empty. My hands were shaking. And just like that, the second warning sign hit me. There was a second phone on the nightstand. It wasn't hers. And the wallpaper was me, smiling, at the beach. A photo I didn't remember taking. I was about to learn something far worse than cheating. Because that wasn't just her lover's phone. That was my old phone. The one I lost last year in Miami. And what they had on it was going to destroy everything. My vision narrowed. I wasn't looking at them anymore. I was staring at that phone. My phone. The one that vanished last summer in Miami after Tessa's conference. We'd searched for it for hours. She even helped me file a report at the front desk. I replaced it a week later with a new one, assuming it had been swiped off the beach chair or lost forever. But there it was, sitting on the nightstand, lit up with my face on the lock screen, like it never left. Tessa finally spoke. Her voice was too calm. Babe, I can explain. Explain what? That my phone had magically reappeared in a bedroom with her half-naked coworker during a family barbecue? That it had photos of us on the beach, even though I never remembered taking them? I couldn't speak. I reached out, picked up the phone, and the screen unlocked without a passcode. Of course, my fingerprints still worked. The home screen was chaos. Over 40 hidden apps. Folders labeled with emojis. I opened one called Utilities. It wasn't Utilities. It was videos. Hundreds of them. My hands were shaking as I scrolled through thumbnails of clips that made my stomach curl. At first, they looked like standard beach shots. Tessa smiling. A few selfies. Then some of her in hotels I'd never been in. With Carter. And in some, she wasn't alone with just him. I looked up and saw her watching me. Not crying. Not panicking. Just staring, waiting to see which video I'd play first. Carter, meanwhile, had the nerve to sit back on the bed and sigh like he was exhausted by all the drama. So now what, he said. You going to throw a fit? We're adults, dude. I snapped. This phone was mine. You've had it for over a year. You knew. You both knew. Tessa finally moved. She got off the bed, slowly wrapping the sheet around her like some kind of martyr. I didn't want you to find out like this, she said. But maybe it's for the best. I was going to tell you, eventually. I didn't believe her for a second. The videos were labeled by dates. Some of them went back to before our wedding anniversary last year. Before that horrible night where she said she was too tired to celebrate and fell asleep by 9. One clip was from that night. Except she wasn't asleep. She was with Carter, in the exact outfit she wore out with me for dinner, just hours earlier. I left the room without saying another word. Down the hallway, the laughter outside sounded like mockery. Her cousin was singing off-key. Kids were splashing in a plastic pool. And I was standing in her family's house holding a piece of evidence no one even knew existed. I didn't go back outside. I walked to her aunt's office and locked the door behind me. Then I connected the phone to the desktop computer. I wasn't just going to watch the videos. I was going to download them all. Because something about those clips didn't sit right. Some of them showed angles that made no sense. Like they were filmed from inside hotel rooms before she and Carter even walked in. And in one of them, there was a third person. Someone I did recognize. And that's when I knew. This wasn't just betrayal. This was something deeper. Something coordinated. And I had no idea how far it went. I thought I knew the shape of my own life. Turns out, I'd only seen the version they let me see. In the locked office, with the faint thump of music leaking through the walls, I scrubbed through the video again. I paused it, zoomed in, played it frame by frame like I was studying evidence in some late-night documentary. The camera angle was wrong. Too high. Too steady. Whoever was filming wasn't fumbling or hiding. They were comfortable, experienced, almost bored. Then I noticed the reflection. It wasn't obvious at first, just a sliver of glass from a mirrored wardrobe door. But there it was, someone standing behind the camera, taller than Carter, broader shoulders, a familiar posture I'd seen 1,000 times at family gatherings. My throat tightened. I switched to another clip. Different hotel, same angle, same reflection, same person. And then I recognized the watch. A stainless steel band with a small dent on the clasp. I knew that watch because I'd helped pay for it as a birthday gift. We'd all chipped in. It belonged to Tessa's brother-in-law, Nolan. The guy who always slapped me on the back and called me buddy. The one who borrowed my tools and never returned them. The one who had been grilling burgers 10 minutes ago, laughing with my wife's father like nothing in the world was wrong. I sat there, staring at the screen, feeling stupid. Feeling small. Feeling like every joke at my expense suddenly made sense. This wasn't an affair. This was a system. I checked the timestamps. Trips that overlapped with girls' weekends. Conferences that lined up with team-building retreats. Even one clip from a night I was sick with the flu, sweating through the sheets while Tessa told me she was running out to grab soup. The soup bag had still been warm when she came home. I'd thanked her. I remember thanking her. My hands started to shake so badly I had to set the phone down. I didn't confront anyone. Not yet. I unlocked the office window and climbed out into the side yard like a coward in my own story. I needed air. I needed distance. Mostly, I needed to not collapse in front of her entire family. I walked to my car and sat there with the engine off, watching the backyard through the windshield. Nolan was there, beer in hand. Carter was there too, apparently no longer hiding. They stood close to Tessa, all laughing at something on someone's phone. She brushed Nolan's arm casually, the same way she used to brush mine when she wanted me to feel chosen. I felt like I'd been replaced while still alive. That's when my phone buzzed. My new phone. A text from Tessa. "Where did you go? You're being weird." I almost laughed. Almost cried. Instead, I did something I've never done before. I replied calmly. "Just needed air. Be right back." Then I opened my email and sent myself a folder labeled with today's date. Every video. Every photo. Every timestamp. I made sure it was backed up twice. I wasn't going to lose the truth again. Because as pathetic as I might sound writing this, I finally understood something important. They thought I was harmless, quiet, predictable, easy to lie to, and for a long time, they were right. But not anymore. Not after what I saw reflected in that glass. Not after I realized how many people at that barbecue already knew. And not after I understood that the worst betrayal wasn't what they were doing to me behind closed doors. It was how comfortable they were doing it right in front of me. I didn't drive away. I could have. Part of me wanted to. But some pathetic, aching part of me still needed to see. I needed to witness how normal they all acted. Like I didn't just walk in on a performance that had been going on for years. Like my life hadn't already split in two somewhere between the cooler and that guest room door. I sat in the car long enough to feel the heat building behind the glass. Sweat started to bead at the base of my neck, but I didn't turn on the engine. I just watched. Tessa was now standing beside Carter, her hand casually brushing his lower back as she leaned in to whisper something. He smiled. Then she reached for Nolan's beer, Nolan, and took a sip like it was nothing. That same beer that probably shared his saliva more times than I want to imagine. I watched Nolan's wife, Janie, hand out plates of ribs, completely oblivious. Or maybe not. Maybe she knew too. Maybe I was the only idiot at that barbecue still stuck in the first act of a play everyone else had already finished watching. My heart was pounding. Not fast, not in panic, just heavy. Like a slow drumbeat counting down to something I didn't understand yet. I opened the video folder again, scrolling past thumbnails I hadn't had the nerve to open earlier. A few were labeled with dates I recognized. Our wedding anniversary. Her birthday. Even one from Valentine's Day. I remember cooking for her that night, setting the table with candles like some desperate sitcom husband. She'd shown up late, said traffic was bad. I'd believed her. But now I was staring at a video dated that same night, time-stamped at the exact moment she claimed she was stuck on the freeway. In it, she was in a hotel room, wearing the same red dress I'd complimented her on. Except in this version of the evening, she wasn't alone. I slammed the screen off. My own reflection in the black mirror of the phone looked like a ghost. Then, movement outside. Tessa was walking toward the cars. Toward me. I froze. My hand hovered over the lock button. But I didn't press it. I wanted her to see me. I wanted to look her in the eye and see what lived behind them now. She reached the driver's side and knocked on the window, smiling like this was all just a normal Sunday, and not the day she got caught in the biggest lie of her life. "You okay?" she asked through the glass, tilting her head. "You've been out here forever." I rolled the window down halfway. I needed a minute. "To do what?" She laughed lightly, like this was some inside joke. "Are you having a mid-barbecue crisis?" I looked straight at her. "Where's my old phone, Tessa?" That smile faded like a glitch in a digital filter. She blinked. Just once. But it was enough. "I don't know what you mean." "Yes, you do," I said. My voice wasn't angry. It wasn't loud. But it was new. Even I didn't recognize it. "The one you said I lost in Miami. The one you told me was gone. The one I just found next to your coworker's pants." Her hand dropped from the window. Her shoulders stiffened. "Okay," she said slowly. "You need to calm down. Let's go for a walk. This isn't the time or place." "Oh, it's exactly the time and place." She looked back toward the yard, as if calculating who could see us. Her face twisted slightly. Panic, or maybe damage control. "You have no idea what you're doing." That's when I said it. "No, you have no idea what I already know." And I showed her the screen. Just a single frame. Her face in that hotel room. Arms around Carter, timestamp glaring like a neon sign of guilt. She stepped back like it burned her. "Delete it," she said under her breath. "You can't keep that. That's private." I leaned forward. "It was my phone. You recorded it. You kept it. You built this whole rotten secret life on it. And now you're worried about privacy?" She didn't answer. She just stood there, trembling. And for the first time in our entire marriage, she had nothing to say. I didn't yell. I didn't cause a scene. I didn't throw her out or crash the barbecue like some revenge fantasy. I just rolled the window back up and drove away. Slowly, calmly, with the evidence still on my lap and her mouth still hanging open in the rearview mirror. But I wasn't running. I was regrouping, because exposing what she did wasn't enough anymore. I needed to know why, and I needed to find out who else helped her cover it up. I didn't go home. I drove around aimlessly, half hoping the car would run out of gas just so I wouldn't have to decide where to stop. Every familiar place felt infected now. The apartment we shared? Tainted. Her favorite cafe? That was where she met Carter sometimes. One of the videos proved it. Even my office felt off, like I'd carry this betrayal in with me like invisible soot on my clothes. Eventually, I pulled into an empty church parking lot, killed the engine, and sat there in the quiet. I opened the folder again, still stunned by the weight of what I had. Dozens of files. Some intimate, some casual, all of them wrapped in lies. But there was one thing I hadn't checked yet, something I had almost forgotten in the chaos. The messaging app. I opened it. Hundreds of texts. Between her and Carter. Between her and Nolan. Even a few between her and someone saved only as L. I didn't recognize the number. No contact photo. But the way they spoke, it was too familiar. Like they weren't just in on the secret, they were orchestrating it. One message caught my eye. Sent 2 weeks ago. Short. Chilling. He's starting to ask questions. Shut it down. And Tessa had replied. Already handled. He's too soft to do anything anyway. My hands went numb. My own wife, mocking me behind my back with someone I couldn't even identify. Calling me soft, like being loyal, like trusting her, made me pathetic. I tapped on the contact info. No name. but a backup email was linked to the number. It was her sister's. Lexi, the one who'd always acted warm to my face. The one who'd hugged me last Christmas and whispered, "I'm so glad you're in our family." The one who once cried to me about her cheating ex. I stared at the name, reading it over and over like it would morph into something that made sense. But it didn't. And the more I read, the more the text felt like puzzle pieces rearranging everything I thought I knew. Lexi had known the entire time. Worse, Lexi was involved. And based on these messages, she might have even started it. But what truly shattered me was a message sent just this morning, right before the barbecue. From Lexi to Tessa. Remember, if he gets suspicious today, play the emotional distance card. Blame yourself a little. Make him feel needed. You know he falls for it every time. Every time. I sat there for a long moment, stunned by how deep the manipulation went. It wasn't just infidelity, it was strategy. A rehearsed, step-by-step manipulation passed between sisters like some disgusting family tradition. And for the first time since this whole thing started, I didn't feel sad. I felt ready. I wasn't going to cry in parking lots anymore. I was going to burn the lies down, one name at a time. I didn't text her back. I didn't threaten anyone. I did what they never expected me to do. I stayed quiet. But I wasn't done. Not even close. After everything I saw, I had no trust left in words. So I needed something more. Something unshakable. And as crazy as it sounds, the answer came from the same rotten source that started all this, the phone. When I connected it to my cloud account earlier, it hadn't just synced files. It synced apps, including one I'd completely forgotten about. A Bluetooth recording app one used a year ago for work, the kind that lets you turn your phone into a remote mic, even when it's locked. I opened it. There, in the background recordings folder, was a fresh audio file. Time-stamped exactly 15 minutes after I left the house and climbed out the window. I hit play. The first 30 seconds were just shuffling and footsteps, then voices. Tessa's voice, Carter's, and then Lexi's. I leaned forward in the driver's seat, frozen. "Tessa, I told you he saw it. The beach video." "Carter, so what? He's not going to do anything. He's too embarrassed." "Lexi." He looked shaken. "You should have just deleted that folder. Why would you even keep it?" "Tessa, because I liked remembering how easy it all was. And, I don't know. Sometimes I think he deserved to find it." "Lexi, he deserved it?" "Tess, come on. You were cheating for over a year." "Tessa, yeah, and he was emotionally gone for 2. He checked out long before I did anything. I didn't want to feel invisible anymore." "Carter, you weren't invisible with me." The three of them laughed. It hit me like a physical blow. The way they talked about it. No guilt. No remorse. Just detachment. Like I was some naive joke of a husband who couldn't possibly survive without them. Like my pain was entertainment. Then came the part that made my blood go cold. "Lexi, you still think he doesn't know about the money?" "Tessa, he hasn't said anything. If he doesn't bring it up by Monday, we move forward." "Carter, you're sure he won't trace it?" "Tessa, he won't even know what to look for. I've been covering that account for almost 6 months." "What? Money?" I paused the recording, heart racing. They hadn't just betrayed me emotionally. There was something financial happening, too. Something they assumed I was too blind to catch. I reopened my banking app. Checked the joint savings. Nothing seemed off until I noticed the automatic withdrawals. Small ones. Regular. Every 2 weeks. Each for $712.98. Enough to fly under radar. The label? Insurance adjustment. I never set that up. I tapped further. It wasn't going to an insurance company. It was being routed to a private account in Lexi's name. And the transaction had started exactly 1 week after Tessa asked me to co-sign for a temporary savings initiative she'd seen on a financial podcast. I remember her saying, "It's just a formality." I didn't even read the paperwork. I just signed. Like a fool. Now I understood. They weren't just laughing at my heartbreak. They were cashing in on it. I leaned back in my seat, stunned. But somewhere in that haze of disbelief, I started smiling. A small, broken, tired smile. Because they'd left a trail. And now I had the receipts. They thought I'd be weak forever. They thought I'd take the hit, then crawl back into our shared bed out of guilt, fear, or loneliness. They forgot one thing. When you leave a man nothing to lose, he finally learns how to fight. They had no idea I was listening. No idea I had the files, the text logs, the transfers. and definitely no idea I knew where they were headed next. Because Tessa had slipped up weeks ago, she told me Lexi was planning a weekend wellness retreat for the girls at a remote cabin. Said she'd invited Carter to help drive the supplies up early since he had the truck. I played dumb at the time, nodding while I scrubbed dishes, pretending I didn't notice the way her voice got softer when she said his name. But now I knew better. And thanks to the cloud sync from the stolen phone, I had access to their shared calendar. They never bothered to log out of anything. They truly thought I was that oblivious. So I drove up the old logging road just past 6 a.m., a full day before the wellness retreat was supposed to begin. No one was supposed to be there yet. Except they were. Carter's truck was already parked in the gravel drive, backed in like he planned to leave fast if needed. I killed my headlights, pulled off to the side, and waited. No movement. Not yet. I approached the cabin on foot, slow and silent. It was one of those modern-style rentals in the woods, big windows, open floor plan, supposedly off-grid. But I knew how to handle silence better than any of them. I'd been living in it for years. Through the side window, I saw them. Tessa and Carter. Not just hooking up. Laughing. Drinking wine at breakfast. Her sitting in his lap like they were already living a different life. One where I had never existed. I should have felt rage. Fury. Anything. Instead, I pulled out the second phone, her phone, and started the recording. Then I knocked on the door. 3 short knocks. I heard Carter say, "Who the hell is that?" Tessa's voice followed, already panicking. "No one should be here yet. Did you tell Nolan?" I knocked again. More silence. Then soft footsteps. The door creaked open just enough for her to peek through. Her face drained of color. She didn't even open the door fully, just stared at me like I was a ghost, like she was seeing something that shouldn't be real. I held up the phone. "I think you left something at the barbecue," I said, my voice low, calm, like I was asking about a missing person instead of a hidden life. Carter appeared behind her, shirtless, clearly hungover, and clearly not in the mood for games. "What is he doing here?" he snapped. Tessa tried to answer, but I cut her off. "It's funny," I said, "how far you two had to drive just to keep lying." Carter stepped forward like he was going to say something tough, but then he saw the phone in my hand. Saw the screen lit up. Saw the app recording. His expression changed instantly. No more arrogance. Just fear. "You need to leave," Tessa said finally, her voice breaking. "You can't be here." "No, Tessa," I replied. "You can't be here. Not anymore." I turned and walked back toward my car without another word. I didn't have to yell. I didn't need revenge porn, drama, or broken windows. Because the video was already uploading to a private folder, shared with a divorce attorney. And my name wasn't on the cabin rental, but hers was. Booked with money from the siphoned account. It was all coming together now. And as I reached my car, I realized something that made me almost laugh. They thought they were playing chess, but I wasn't playing their game anymore. The drive back from the cabin felt different. Lighter. Not because the weight was gone. Betrayal doesn't vanish in a day, but because the fog had finally cleared. I saw them for what they were. Every fake laugh. Every staged apology. Every night I thought I was overthinking. It had all been real. And now, it was all documented. I stopped at a coffee shop on the way home. Not one we used to go to. Somewhere new. I sat by the window, sipped my coffee, and opened my laptop. The email to the divorce attorney had already been read. She'd replied within 20 minutes. "You're in a very strong position. Let's move quickly." Good. I spent the next few days moving in silence. Rented a short-term apartment across town, clean, small, mine. I transferred our shared finances into a legal trust until the divorce was finalized. Every document was filed cleanly. No shouting matches. No second chances. Just signatures and facts. Tessa tried, of course. She sent voice notes, texts, even showed up at the old apartment crying through the door, saying she never meant for it to go this far. Carter texted too, mostly insults at first, then silence once I forwarded the evidence to his employer. He lost his job a week later. Turns out, sleeping with a coworker and committing insurance fraud on a company retreat wasn't in the employee handbook. Lexi? She was worse. Cold. Calculated. She tried to get ahead of it, spun a story to the family that I'd been unstable, paranoid, recording everyone like a freak. But I had timestamps, bank statements, video, messages from her number, in her words. Her lie didn't last a day. What happened next surprised even me. Tessa's father called me. We'd never been close. I always figured he barely tolerated me. But he said, "I don't know how I raised two daughters who could treat someone like that. I'm sorry. You deserve better." That was the first time anyone had said that out loud. It didn't fix everything, but it helped. And slowly, things started to feel real again. Mine again. I reconnected with people I hadn't spoken to in years. Old friends I'd let drift away because Tessa said they were negative influences. Turns out, they'd always seen the red flags. They just didn't know how to warn me without pushing me away. One of them, Natalie, even helped me move the last few boxes into the new place. We ended up talking on the floor, drinking cheap wine out of mugs. That night turned into a long walk. Then a few more. Then something more than that. She knows everything. I didn't hide it. And she still looks at me like I'm not broken, like I'm not some sad cautionary tale. That's the thing no one tells you about betrayal. It shatters you. But if you're patient, if you're careful, you can rebuild using better pieces. Not perfect ones, but real ones. And that's more than I ever had with Tessa. So yeah, I grabbed the ice that day. But I came back with something colder than they ever expected, clarity. And I never looked back.